copies, get your blueprint, take a lot of notes. Bob, you're up.
All right. Thank you, Raj. You know, I used to think that Raj liked me, but then he scheduled me to follow Susan and Kathy. I'm no longer sure about that. But this has been a great event, hasn't it? Can we give Raj and that team a round of applause? They deserve it. They absolutely deserve it. And I appreciate being here. Listen, a couple of things. Notes, you got a notes section on your pages throughout your book. Just write a couple of things down real quick. Let me get them off my chest so I don't forget these. Two of them are websites. RLCFL for Florida, rlcfl.org. And the other one is comecleanflorida.org. Okay, and when you get a chance at home, at your leisure, explore these two websites. The RLC Florida website has a lot of terrific information on it with regards to Tallahassee and the work that we do there. Listen, we vet and endorse candidates. We raise money to support candidates. And of course, these are America First MAGA kinds of candidates that we're talking about at the Florida level for the Florida House and the Florida Senate. ComeCleanFlorida.org is really a website that we developed all the way back in 2014, specifically to highlight what I'm going to be talking about this evening, which is money in politics and political committees and how they operate and why they're so dangerous the way they're currently structured and the way that they're allowed to currently operate. And then I also want to mention one more thing before I really get deep into my remarks, and that is that when you do your breakout sessions, and you got a lot of great breakout sessions to choose from, and I'm not trying to elevate one over any other, but if you want more information and you want to continue what I'm talking about right now, then go to the breakout session with Alan Ross, okay? Because Alan and his team have done a tremendous amount of work in this very same area, and I'm sure that he'll be able to elaborate even more fully during the breakout. Lord Acton, 18th century, the 1800s, Lord Acton was a baron over in England, and he made this comment: power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what we have going on in Tallahassee right now. All right, and one of the reasons is money. Okay, money is always that's always the devil in the details, right? Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, is why having supermajorities in the two chambers of the Florida legislature is not a good thing. Now, that may be heresy to the Republican Party of Florida, and I'm sure it's heresy to the Ben Albritons and the Daniel Perez's of the world, but having supermajorities is not a good thing, all right, because it just concentrates so much more power into the hands of so few people. If you want to push back against a bad idea that leadership has in the Florida House, if you've got 87 out of 120 House members that are Republicans, well then guess what? To push back against that leadership's bad idea, you're going to have to find 20 to 27 Republicans that are willing to stand up against this guy. Okay, back when it was 6 or 7, you could maybe get that done. But one of the reasons that people are so afraid in the rank and file of the legislature to push back against leadership is because of money. And that's, of course, what we're going to be talking about today. Before we launch into that, though, I want to go to, there's just a couple of things that I want to promote real quickly because they have to do, believe it or not, with what I'm going to be talking about. Let's go to the next slide. We do, every year, we do a Constitution Day dinner. Okay, this is our 17th annual Constitution Day dinner coming up. Past speakers, Tom Homan last year, Tulsi Gabbard the year before that, Laura Trump the year before that. We can go to the next slide. This is a picture of the room, what it looks like. It is a first-class event. We now call it Florida's Liberty Event of the Year. Let's go to the next slide. This is the VIP reception, which takes place before the dinner starts. We can go to the next slide. And of course, there's Laura Trump from 3 years ago. We can go to the next slide. There she is sitting with one of our members from down in Broward County, Florida, actually. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, we'll hold it right there for just a minute. So anyway, there's a flyer in your bag. Okay, there's a flyer in the bag for the Constitution Day dinner. It's got the website on there. August the 30th in the evening at the Radisson Resort at the Port. It'll be a great time. And come out and hear Florida's next governor, because I don't care what anybody says. He's going to win. Whether you like it or not, folks, whether you like it or not, he's going to win. And I can tell you this right now, I'd rather be inside the tent than outside the tent. If you want to get anything done in Tallahassee, you want to be inside the tent, and that's where we are right now. Is where we're going to stay. We've worked very hard to get there. I'm sorry, I heard somebody just refer to him as a rhino. Well, let me tell you something. He was one of 18 members of the Florida House that voted against the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas bill. Okay? Thank you very much. All right. This is my time. Thank you, though. So listen. Here's the deal. This is actually before the dinner. We're having our biennial convention. Let's just scroll some of these next slides. These are just some pictures from some of our past conventions. Next one, and then the next one. Okay, this is a breakout session of one of our conventions, and then I think that's it. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, there's the board of directors that got elected, and there's Dave Walsh. Dave Walsh, you already saw on video. He'll be at our convention giving his presentation, it'll be the 4th time I've heard it, and I get a lot out of it every time. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, we do every year in Tallahassee, we do a Liberty Lobbying Days event. We are focused almost exclusively on Tallahassee as a state organization. We are analyzing legislation, some we support, some we oppose. We're putting out email alerts, legislative action alerts via email that are informing our subscribers when a certain bill is going to be scheduled in committee and how they ought to be encouraging their members to vote. We give you a list of who the Republican members are on the committee and how to contact them. We make it as easy as we possibly can for people. And then this year was a couple of years ago, we probably had about 80 people up there that particular year. They aren't even all in these pictures. It was a great 2-day event where we literally go in and meet with and lobby our legislators. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. And I'm going to give you this is a real life situation that I am very familiar with, because this is a by the numbers post-election analysis of what happened in the HD 32 special election, the House District 32 special election, which happened earlier this year. And yours truly was a candidate in that race. Okay? I've been told by people in the know that this 3-way race, if you look at these results, Brian Hodgers 35%, Bob White 33%, Terry Cronin 32%. I've been told that that's probably the closest 3-way race that anybody's ever seen in Florida politics. But let's take it a step further now. Campaign expenditures. I spent $170,000 roughly. Wow. Brian Hodgers, 2.4, almost 2.5 to 1 outspent me. He spent $404,000. But look at that next figure. Okay, that next figure, Terry Cronin spent $857,000 on a Florida House race. Okay? On a Florida House race. And he lost. He came in 3rd. Exactly right. He came in 3rd. And he was a complete unknown. So how does a complete unknown, okay, raise that kind of money? Well, we're going to talk about that. Let's look at the cost per vote, those next several lines. Basically, my voters, we spent about $32 per vote. Brian Hodgers spent $72 per vote. Terry Cronin spent $167 per vote. And again, to finish 3rd. But here's where it gets really interesting. Take a look at the next category. PAC money. In Florida, we call them PCs, by the way. They're called political committees, not political action committees. That's a legislative thing. It's a statutory thing, but that's okay. It really is. They really are PACs. Bob White, $16,000 in PAC money. Hodgers, $64,000 in PAC money. Terry Cronin, $472,000. Almost $500,000 was invested by political committees all over the state of Florida into the campaign of a guy that, believe me, when I tell you, he was a complete unknown. Nobody had ever heard of this guy. Okay? But here's what happened. He was recruited into the race by a guy named Randy Fine. Oh, yeah. And Randy told him when he recruited him into the race, listen, you get in this race and we'll make sure that we get you leadership support. We'll get you leadership support. Now, why would Randy do that? Because Randy doesn't like Bob White. And Randy knows that leadership didn't want Bob White to win that race. In fact, we had about halfway through the campaign, I got a call from a buddy of mine that was up in Tallahassee in the office of one of the members of the legislature up there. And he happened to be out front in the room out in front waiting to go in, and had a conversation with another guy that was from somewhere else they'd never met. And this guy didn't know that he was talking to my friend. And so he asked him, "Where are you from?" He said, "Well, I'm from Brevard County." And he goes, "We've got an interest in a race down there." And my guy says, "Really?" He goes, "Yes, that House race, House District 32, there's like 3 guys running." And my guy says, "Yeah, I've heard of it. I'm a little familiar with what's going on there." He goes, "Yeah, they're like all split. The polls have them split a third, a third, and a third." He goes, "Yeah, I've heard it's pretty close." He goes, "Yeah." And the guy says, "And leadership is freaking out over it. They're just freaking out. They're scared to death that Bob White is going to win because they think he'll be the second coming of Anthony Sabatini." Okay, let's analyze this Terry Cronin PAC money in some detail. 100% of that, all $472,000, came from the Florida Committee for Accountability, Chair Jennings DePriest. Woo! I knew that was going to get a boo. But look who the treasurer is.
Yeah.
Wife of Evan Power is the treasurer of this book. Now look, I'm not casting aspersions on Melissa Power. I'm sure she does this for a living. There are people in Tallahassee and elsewhere all over the state that are treasurers, and they look. It's an important job. You got to keep it straight. And by the way, we operate 2 political committees. The Republican Liberty Caucus operates 2 political committees. We have one at the state level, Liberty Catalyst Fund. We have one at our local level for the Liberty Rising, because the law says, and by the way, some of you are probably breaking the law right now. The law literally says that if you are an organization that raises or spends a minimum $500 in any calendar year, just $500 in any calendar year, and the law says you must have a political committee, and all that money has to go through that political committee. So keep that in mind. So let's take a look a little farther. The Florida Committee for Accountability detail. Okay, their largest contributor was Keep Florida Winning. So Keep Florida Winning gave $782,000 to the Florida Committee for Accountability, that gave $472,000 that spent $472,000 on Terry Cronin's campaign. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so let's take a look at the detail for Keep Florida Winning. Now see, this is where it gets really interesting, because political committees, one of the reasons they're so dangerous is that they can make contributions to each other, which is how they launder the money. We refer to this as the legal laundering of campaign cash. That's exactly what's going on. Okay, so Keep Florida Winning got $330,000 from the Citizens Alliance for Florida's Economy, Chair Anthony Pettacini. They got $250,000 from Florida America First, the Chair DePriest. And then the next 4 are all chaired by Stafford Jones. Florida Values, $300,000. Americans for Liberty and Prosperity, $150,000. Freedom First Committee, $125,000. Liberty Leadership Fund, $125,000. Now, this gets really interesting here, so hold on. All right, okay. So there's this organization called Sunshine State First. That's a Florida political committee that is chaired by Stafford Jones. Sunshine State First made a $300,000 contribution to Florida's Values. Okay, let's keep going. In the first quarter of 2025, Sunshine State First received $1 million. Think about this, $1 million in contributions from the Republican State Leadership Committee. I originally thought that they were a PC operating in a federal PAC, actually. I thought they were a federal super PAC. But they're not. They're an IRS 527. They only report to the IRS. They don't report to the Federal Division of Elections, and they don't report to the Florida Division of Elections. They only report as an IRS 527. Now get this. Okay, board members for the Republican State Leadership Committee, and they are national. This is a national organization. They're from all over the place. They include people like Karl Rove. Okay, he's a board member. Okay, right here in Florida, they include, are you ready for this? Danny Perez, Ben Albritton, the Speaker and the Senate President, and Jim Boyd, who I think is in line to become the Senate President. I think he's also currently, he may be Chairman of Appropriations. So, and I've added something to this report that's not up there. I'm going to take you through this because you're going to find this fascinating. This is a timeline for Sunshine State First, Florida's Values, Keep Florida Winning, Florida Committee for Accountability. This is a timeline of the contributions and expenditures, okay, that were going on back then. January 17th, the first $500,000 contribution from Republican state leadership into Sunshine State First. January 31st, the second $500,000 contribution from Republican state leadership to Sunshine State First. Then on 3/18, Sunshine State First, operated by Stafford Jones, makes a $305,000 contribution to Florida's Values. Then on the very next day, 3/19, Florida's Values makes a $300,000 contribution to Keep Florida Winning. And then on 3/19, the same day, Keep Florida Winning makes a $300,000 contribution to the Florida Committee for Accountability, which was what was paying for all of Terry Cronin's literature, paying for his television, paying for almost everything that he did. And so what you have there is you have leadership basically funneling the money, all right, directly, okay, into the candidates of their choice. They are tipping the scales, okay, in their own favor. Okay, it's as bad as what Dave Walsh, and I'm going to wrap this up, as bad as what Dave Walsh was talking about when he explained how the utility companies are going the way of solar because it's more profitable for them at your expense. Okay? Leadership in Tallahassee, and here's what you have to understand. The rank and file members know it. They know that leadership at any time, if they want to, can turn on one of them. This is how they exercise. This is all that power corrupting and absolute power corrupting absolutely. They're aware. They know good and well that these people can take them out at any time. They need their support. I feel bad for them. I actually feel bad for them because they feel like they have a job that they need to do on behalf of their constituents. I think these are, for the most part, good, honorable people that run for office. But they've got to produce results. They know they've got to pass legislation. And they're trying to bring the bacon home, right, for their districts. And they can't get on the wrong side of leadership and expect to be able to do that. So I think that they are really between a rock and a hard place in many cases up there. And so it's very difficult. There's a section in here about how do we organize to try to transform the Florida House and the Florida Senate. It's going to be extremely difficult as long as they have that kind of money available to them. So that's where we have to get into. We've got a couple of pieces of legislation. We've got a piece of legislation that will prohibit political committees from making contributions to each other. Very difficult to pass. We've been able to get it sponsored a number of times, but you can't even get it heard in committee. Because leadership says, no, you're not going to hear that bill. They just tell the committee chairman, don't hear that bill. No. We've got another one, okay, that would make it illegal. It would prohibit the use of photographs in political campaigns without the express written permission of the person. Because you've all seen these brochures that are coming out implying endorsements that aren't really there. Okay, that's happening way too often. And as regards what Dave was talking about, we've also got another piece that we've written that would prohibit any government-regulated monopoly utility company from being able to make contributions in political campaigns. So again, going to be a nightmare, very difficult to pass. All the utility companies are going to be fighting against it and threatening legislators with contributions to their opponents. So that's all going to be very difficult. We're going to have a lot more bills on a lot more topics like health freedom and election security and gun rights and limited government and all of those kinds of things. But those were three that really fit with what we're talking about today. And I've gone way over my remarks, my time. Now, I'm sorry about that, Raj, but I could have told you that my wife would tell you I've never met a microphone I didn't like. So thank you all very much. I hope it was enlightening.